Welcome back again, Ẹ̀yin Wàásìrè. Welcome back to our special and interesting and sweet Ifa series. The last time we were here, we talked about Ifa, and I saw how that you guys really enjoyed it. But now we move on from Ifa to Opele. Opele ló yó tán ló dakùn délẹ̀. Adíá fún pérégedé tí ń ṣọmọ yèyé ojúmọ́. Before we talk about Opele, let me briefly tell you the history or the story of Ifa. It so happened that Orunmila was gravely insulted and dishonored by one of his sons, and Orunmila decided to leave. Not out of petty anger, but just to teach us a lesson that when there is dishonor in a place, it means they are not wanted. Orunmila sensed dishonor, and then he knew that tá bá fi àpárí iṣu hàn àlejò, òwe ilé tó lọ ni. So Orunmila decided to leave. He left the world and went to Orun. Calamity descended upon humanity. Àtọ̀ ò dọmọmọ́, eku ò ké bí eku, ẹyẹ ò ké bí ẹyẹ, ọmọ ènìyàn fọhùn bí ènìyàn. Làwọn ọmọ ènìyàn bá mú èjì kún ẹ̀ta, wọ́n fi ẹ̀ta kún èjì, wọ́n tọ̀ Orunmila lọ. Wọ́n bẹ Orunmila bàbá mi àgbọnnìrún pé ọ̀bá dákun dábọ̀ kó fi èdè nù, kó dákun kó padà wá sílé ayé. Orunmila ní lá òun ò padà sílé ayé mọ́, ṣùgbọ́n òun ó fún wọn ní nǹkan tí ó dúró gẹ́gẹ́ bí òun, tó yẹ pé ní tí wọ́n bá fẹ́ máa bá Orunmila sọ wọ́n lè máa bá a sọ. Nílò Orunmila bá fi fún wọn ní Ifá, ló fi di ohun tá a fi ń dífá lónìí, tá a fi ń bá Orunmila sọ̀rọ̀. Ifá yẹn ní ó wá fún wọn ní igi mẹ́rìndínlógún. Ó ní bẹ́ẹ̀ bá délé, bẹ́ẹ̀ bá fowó ní, ẹni tẹ́ máa bínú. Bẹ́ẹ̀ bá délé, bẹ́ẹ̀ bá fàyà ní, ẹni tẹ́ máa bínú. Bẹ́ẹ̀ bá délé, bẹ́ẹ̀ bá fọmọ bí, ẹni tẹ́ máa bínú. Ilé lẹ fẹ́ kọ́ láyé, ẹni tẹ́ máa bínú. Aṣọ lẹ fẹ́ ní láyé, ẹni tẹ́ máa bínú. Ire gbogbo lẹ fẹ́ ní láyé, ẹni tẹ́ máa bínú. Ìgbà tí wọ́n délé, gbogbo ire náà ni wọ́n ń rí. Orunmila á fèdè fẹ̀yọ̀ ẹ̀ lásòdì. Ifá relé olókun kò dé mọ́, ó ní ẹni tẹ́ ẹ bá rí ẹ ṣáà máa pè ní bàbá. That ẹsẹ̀ Ifá is from Odu Ifa, and that, very briefly, is the history of Ifa. So now, let us move on to Opele. Now, the Opele is named after a tree, the Opele tree, and these are the seeds of that tree. We can actually use Ide verse for these ones actually also, but this is the most popular one. Remember that in Ifa, 2 knots mean 1 stroke and 1 knot means 2 strokes. It is just like that in the Opele, just that this time around it's slightly different. So we have on the Opele here, the Opele seeds. They have been split into halves, and then we have 4 on this side, 4 on the other side. Each of the Opele have 2 possibilities, the Inu and the Ode or Ẹ̀yìn. When you cast it, it either shows you the Inu or the Ode, and these are what will determine the strokes that we are going to print on the Opele Ifa. So we have 4 Opele here and 4 Opele here, making 8, but each and every one of them have 2 possibilities. That is 8 times 2, giving us 16, which stand for the Odu. Is 16 Odu, àwọn Odu mẹ́rìndínlógún. And then from these 16 possibilities, we can get 240 other possibilities. So from these 16 possibilities, which stand for the Odu, we can derive the 240 other Amulu Odu. Together, they all give us 256, and those are the Odu we have in Ifa, Ọ̀tàlénígba ó dín ní mẹ́rin, 256. So do not forget, each of the Opele gives us 2 possibilities, the convex or the concave side, Inu àti Ẹ̀yìn, just like the head and tail of a coin. So how is the Odu revealed using Opele? Very simple. The Babalawos simply casts it, and then it transfers what the Odu reveals into the Opele Ifa. But before casting it, he shakes it to randomize the process, to make sure that there is no manipulation involved. So the Babalawo shakes the thing, and then he carefully casts it like this. So now, as you can see, some of the Opele seeds are showing us their Inu, while the other ones are showing us their Ode. If it had been that what we have here is exactly the same as what we have here, that would have been an Odu Odu. But what we have here is an Amulu Odu because this side, the right side, is not exactly the same as the left side. So now, how does the Babalawo transfer what the Opele is saying into the Opele Ifa? Quite simple. Èyí tí ó bá ṣí ojú sókè, àmì kan là á tẹ̀ sínú Opele Ifa. Èyí tí ó bá dá ojú délẹ̀, àmì méjì la máa tẹ̀ sínú Opele Ifa. So the Babalawo simply follows that principle and transfers what the Opele is saying into the Opele Ifa. This first Opele here is showing us its inside, and that means one stroke. He does this in the Opele Ifa. Èyí tí ó dá ojú délẹ̀ yìí, àmì méjì la ó tẹ̀ fún. Èyí tí ó dá ojú délẹ̀ tó tẹ̀lé yìí, àmì méjì la ó tẹ̀ fóun náà. Èyí tó tún tẹ̀lé, ó ṣí ojú sókè, àmì kan là á tẹ̀ fún. He goes on to the left side and does the same thing. This one here is facing outside. That is one stroke. This one, the same thing, one stroke. This one, facing downwards, two strokes. And then this one, facing upwards or outside, one stroke. So now, he has successfully transferred what the Opele is saying into the Opele Ifa. The next stage, since the Odu has been revealed, is now begin to recite the Ese Ifa, and from there, Ifa will guide the Babalawo into leading the client aright. So this Odu that has been revealed on the Opele Ifa is what we call Odirete. On this side, we have Odi. On the other side, we have Irete. Babalawo á bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní kí Odu yìí, yóò máa ka àwọn Ese Ifa rẹ̀. Ìyẹn ni ó sì tọ́ sọ́nà láti jẹ́ kí wọ́n mọ èyí tí wọ́n ṣe, láti jẹ́ kí wọ́n mọ inú igbá tí wọ́n kó ọ̀run la wọn sí. You can see the rich science involved in the use of the Opele. This Opele is actually an improvement, a technological improvement on the Ike Ifa. If we were to use Ike Ifa, we would have been needing to do these things multiple times, as you saw me do in the previous video. What would have taken us 10 times or even 20 times to do with the Ike Ifa, we can do once with the Opele just by casting it once. You know, we just cast it once and we transfer what is here into the Opele instead of having to do it one by one. So Ike Ifa was used, and the people saw that there should be an improvement, a technological improvement, and then they invented Opele. If we had gone like that, we would have invented our own computer also, because what you have right here is simply the basics of any computer you see working today. Binary. Show this to any computer scientist and they will draw out the parallels. They will tell you the similarities. They will show you that it is just the same thing. And we have been doing this for centuries before we came in contact with any European at all. Which is what I keep telling people, that Ifa is not religion. Just like Professor Sophie Oluwole rightly said, Ifa is not religion. Ifa only contains religion. It will be a disservice to the genius of Orunmila to just mystify all that the man did, to just dismiss everything as mystery. No, that man, what he did was highly scientific, and Ifa, the Odu Ifa, were his own ingenious ways of cataloging his knowledge. Yes, in Ifa we can find religion, but Ifa is not entirely religion. Ifa only contains religion. Ifa is the Yoruba literary corpus. It contains a lot of things, like science, like philosophy, like politics, like riddles, like tales, like proverbs. Oh, so many things can be found in Ifa. Ifa is so many things in one. We can't dismiss it all as religion. Now, is it possible for a Babalawo to have all of the Odu in his head? No, it is not possible. That is why there is always a peer review. Babalawos sometimes work in groups. Awoningba onigbowo. Babalawo kan ò lè gbọ́fá kó mọ gbogbo Odu tó ń bẹ láyé yìí. It is too broad, too much, and that explains why the process of becoming Babalawo always takes many years, because a lot of work goes into it, which is why it is not encouraging to just call yourself a Babalawo all of a sudden simply because you know one or two things about Ifa. Real Babalawos have to be trained for so many years. This, my friend, has brought us to the end of this episode in our very precious Ifa series. Catch me in the next video where we shall be exploring another very interesting aspect of Ifa, and that is what the Babalawo means when he says, "Ma fi re pebi, ma fi bi pere, má fi òlòlò fọhùn. How does that relate with Ifa's relationship with Eshu? Who exactly is Eshu? And what are the many things we can learn about Eshu that will further convince us that, oh, indeed, Eshu is not Satan? Catch me in the next episode on that one. And please, before we go, ẹ dákun mo bẹ̀ yín ni, kódà mo lè kúnlẹ̀ mo lè dọ̀bálẹ̀ tẹ́ bá fẹ́, ẹ dákun ẹ subscribe, iṣẹ́ yóò rọrùn, ẹ jọ̀ọ́ Ifá mo fi bẹ̀ yín, mo fi gbogbo nǹkan bẹ̀ yín, ẹ dákun ẹ subscribe and share this video, share it, so that it can reach, more people and then they can see what we are doing. Ẹ dákun iṣẹ́ yóò rọrùn, ẹ jọ̀ọ́ ẹ share rẹ̀, wàá share rẹ̀.